biggest thing about being a rancher is the land and living on it and getting up and going out on it every single day. And sometimes talking to someone from an environmental organization, they naturally assume that as a rancher, I'm looking at land from a maximizing production standpoint. So they realize that I'm trying to create and enhance the land, but they're thinking I'm doing it because I want more production. And that's not the first thing that we think about. We're looking at land as a living organism that we want to be healthy and thriving, not because we want more grass, but we want it to be healthy. I do not look at nature as an adversary. I look at nature as a partner. And so when we have a coyote we think may be bothering the cattle, we don't see that as an adversarial relationship. He's providing a role, and if he takes a calf, well then the cow is the one that let it happen. And so we need to eliminate the cow, not the coyote. General rule, coyotes, prairie dogs, lice, ticks, all those kinds of things, we don't try to control them. We try to create an animal that builds up an immunity, just as zebras, bison, elephants, any other creature in the world, they evolved with all these things out in nature, and so we're trying to create a herd that embodies those same principles. One of the times of the year that we enjoy the most is when we brand cattle in the spring and when we're weaning cattle in the fall. And one of the reasons is not only you're seeing what you've done all year, how big the calves are or how many they are or how healthy they are, but it brings everybody together. So all of our neighbors come here and we go to their ranches and we all catch up. And while we're catching up, we're working. And it is a neat feeling. In today's world, many times you get caught up in trying to do the job as fast as possible. You don't have very many people to help you, so you might run the cattle into the corral, use chutes, use calf tables, and try to get through it as opposed to enjoying it and doing something that's more meaningful to you. We're doing it in a traditional way because it's the best way as well. I mean, you're minimizing stress and you're developing horses and you're on horseback. All the things we enjoy doing.
How you doing? That's kind of what I thought. That's what I thought.
In order to brand 500 calves, you need lots of people, and you're not going to get people unless they're going to enjoy it. And it's very simple, really.
Good? Yep.
Well, sometimes when we're working cattle and everything goes the way that we hope that it would, I'll say if we could frame that, we'd do it. To me, it's an art form, herding cattle, horsemanship, roping, working together with people. It's poetry in motion. To me, owning a herd of cattle is a business transaction, but it's also an intimate kind of thing as well. In most ranches, people are paid a salary, and that's it. In my opinion, if you're going to attract really good people, you're going to have to include them in the ownership in one way or another of what you're doing. What we do here is we encourage people to invest money in ownership of cattle so that everyone has something at stake. One of the problems with being on wages is that it pays the bills, but what are you going to do when you turn 85 years old? And who's going to go to work somewhere where they can't provide for themselves in their later years in life? By owning part of a herd, you're able to build equity over time, and your net worth is increasing.
See what I'm talking about?
One of the biggest changes in the last 10 years that have occurred in ranching is that people have become more aware of the environment, of food safety values. And I think that we as ranchers sometimes are threatened by that. We see that as a problem. But I think that we need to look at that more as an opportunity as opposed to something that's going to change our way of life and therefore be a negative thing. I think ranchers are becoming more aware that people have more concerns. And so producing a product that they want to sell to people means that they're going to have to talk about their management practices in a way so people understand. And then obviously those practices have to be something that people want to support. I think there is a shift in perspective. We have historically tried to bend nature to do what we want. We try to force things to happen instead of standing back and observing and trying to learn from nature. It's important for us to continue looking for ways to work in harmony together. if you break everything down between environmentalists and ranchers, we have a lot of things in common. We all want the same thing. On one hand, we have a very traditional way of doing things. On the other hand, we have a very non-traditional way of doing things. We look at land as a multi-dimensional resource, not just a home for cattle. I think a lot of people think we're crazy, but I think there are a lot of people who are interested in what we're doing as well. We invite the public to come to the ranch. We work very closely with conservation groups. We bring tourists here to help us in daily work. Any one of those things will give many ranchers cause to look at us a little bit sideways.
Empty, forgotten places, wide open spaces, thunderheads they rumble and
Melted. There's some cactus sauce or salsa.
that sweeps from
Put some cactus sauce.
rocky crags
Say that sauce goes further. Yeah, there on the table. Oh, the cactus. All right.
Aspen and the evergreen meet the rolling sea of sea. Wide open spaces.
My sticker. Oh, hey. There's a certain charm about living on a ranch where your house is where you work and you're surrounded by land. You can't explain it. It's just a certain feeling that comes with getting up every morning and being on the land. And so I love it so much that I want our children to at least come to know it and have the choice of being able to enjoy that too. Yep, it's your turn. Learn how to work. One of my interests is to preserve my legacy, ranching and some of the things that my predecessors have done. That's very important for me, and I do that through teaching my kids the things that I know, the things that have been handed down to me. The eyes are really relaxed. Down, legs. Whenever you're doing this, you see where I'm positioning myself? Just stop right there. Okay. Let's go to face you and come back. After everything's said and done, if I can look back and say that I have taught my kids and young people to do things better than I can, that would be the ultimate.
You gotta be careful with that. Just let her go wherever she wants. A lot of pressure right there.
Training young people to carry things forward is one of the more important things that we can do.
Life in her body where you want it. There you go. Good, good, good. Let her decide. Her decide. Okay, now come back around. Come back around. Good, now slow her down. Easy. Pull back. Release. Yeah. Do what you wanted.
One of the things I always think about at the end of the day is if I could have taught my child something differently so that they could absorb it better. Did I let them do enough? Did I give them a chance to make a mistake so that they could learn from it, as opposed to me telling them what to do? One of my interests is trying to create a lifestyle for my family. That has an economic component, that has a biological component. The Gatorade bottles. Look, here's another pool of water. Right? I have a vision of creating something for my children, creating a natural world that is healthy and that preserves ranching traditions.
Put some water on the dog's back, the black dog. Hey, Grace. See that grass that's growing in there? I'm bringing one of those. I want to see it. Cricket! Cricket!
This grass?
Yeah, what is that?
When I'm 75 years old, looking back, or let's just say not looking back, I'm looking at the land. I want very much to have native plants back, the noxious weeds gone, or under control. They're not to be gone now. And to have my grandkids running around caring about the land the same way I do.
Let me see. What'd you catch? What is it? How'd you catch it? How'd you catch him?
Here.
Listen to it.
Come on.
Daddy, can I get on your back?
Come on.
How'd you catch it?
He was in the mud.
Caught in the mud?
He was schooling the dog.
The responsibility of being connected to the land or loving the land, I think, has to do with living with the land. You can't live on the land, but you have to live in it and with it. And in order to do that, you have to breathe the same air that the animals breathe in the morning. You have to smell the same smells. You have to be out in the rain with them. You have to be out in the cold with them. It's just not all, being out and sitting under a shade tree with a piece of grass sticking out of your teeth and enjoying the landscape. It's much deeper than that. I think nature is what it is, and you can either accept it or you can try to change it. And if you try to change it, you're going to lose usually. So if you can adapt your cattle to nature, if you can adapt your life style to nature, if you can be malleable so that you can incorporate it in plan, or you feel like you can be incorporated into its plan, you're going to be much happier. So I think being a rancher, nature dictates 100% of what you do every day. And when you are at the mercy of nature, so to speak, well then you're going to be living as close to it as you possibly can. And that's one of the reasons why I've always said that ranchers are in the best position to manage on a large-scale basis our natural world. All grasslands of the world have evolved with grazing. And so in today's world, there's no longer bison. The elk are being chased out, they're in the mountains. There's no grazing anymore unless you have cattle. And so if you were to remove cattle, you would have rangeland with plants that are overgrown, overrested, and it wouldn't be the same place. If we're going to stay in business, we have to create a natural environment that is going to be healthier tomorrow than it is today. And that's the bottom line. We have to do that. But at the same time, there's a heartfelt desire among myself and everyone who lives here about what is happening out on the land. Everything I do, every single moment of my life, goes into this land. And so I can't help feel that I belong to it, or it belongs to me, or there's some kind of something between us that is very strong. And ownership maybe is just the way that we talk about it. But it's almost like I am the land is me. My roots are here, and my forefathers' roots are in ranching, and my kids are hopefully someday going to grow their roots down into the same soil. I feel that perhaps I can be a part of the past and the future and trying to bridge that.
Wide open spaces, land of the endless sky, empty, forgotten places, hidden away from wide open spaces.